All right,
Yes.
go ahead, Bina. Go ahead. Hello, hello,
Okay.
everybody.
Hello, everyone.
We
Hello.
are live. We are live. Hello, hello, hello.
Yes. Okay. So another day, another bonus,
Mm,
and this is getting unexpectedly from my side, at least, really interesting, and also the response we are getting, how people are responding towards that.
yes.
This is something because it is just my assumptions, of course, proven false now, because I was assuming that not everybody is going to be interested into like too much bonus, too much details, too much discernment, because it takes a lot of energy, a lot of thoroughness. But this is so amazing that we are having so many people who are
Yeah.
continuously doing it. And thank you so much, Sil, for bringing this up because it's very rare.
Mm,
It is, of course, whole internet is just overwhelmed and flooded with information and knowledge and
yeah.
awareness. But in this particular way, which is open to sharing and actually encouraging and inviting that okay,
Yeah.
just come and explore it more together. This
Yeah.
it's a rare opportunity. So this is what you are providing again, as you always say, and we keep repeating saying this, that it's not about the story itself, which is of course very powerful story,
Yeah.
because it's a replacement. It is providing us to actually just put our feet on and okay, let's then we can create our own stories. But it is providing us the first or the initial ground for the moreness, for the replacement, for having something other than
Yeah.
what we are having right now. But the way we are now exploring the story, the way we are getting the value from it, this whole process, this is the real key. Now I think
Exactly.
that gets so
The
much better.
participation is the
Yes.
issue. And this is what gives me deep, 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 magical, wonderful joy is that we are having participation. It's not about you bringing something and say, "Oh, I've got something clever to say." See, that's because we unhooked from the superiority paradigm. No, I don't care how clever it is, how sensible, whatever. I appreciate it all. It's sharing you participating. Doesn't matter. There's no competition here. There's no need to say this has to be valuable, this has to be clever, this has to be wonderful. No, whatever comes out of your heart, in your mind, you share it. That's it. This is what matters, right? It's the participation. And of course, the inclusivity. You are part of this mini community that we are creating here, right? And it's a
Yes.
community of sharing, of interacting, of this exploring, of discovering, of creating, of connecting. This is a magical, magical, magical community. Yes, right, Bina?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
okay. Let me just take a moment here to let some know that we're live. Uh, okay, just refresh, people. Refresh, refresh. Oh well, so much for my typing. All right, there we go. There we go. Oh, it just keeps typing in the wrong place. Come on now. Huh, there we go. Yeah, 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 yeah. All right, brilliant, 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 brilliant. Yeah, maybe I just should start tagging people in the comments, right? Maybe.
Yes. Why not?
Yeah, why not? Okay, so let's just tag those that have been coming, and we've got Norma, and we've got Elizabeth. No particular order, and we've got Ramsey with an A, with an A, not just there we go. Ramsey, sorry, Ramsey, I'm gonna have to take off all that's too long there to put in. And we've got Sher, Marchman Day, Show Unbound. And who else has been coming regularly, Bina? Well,
Lisa.
Jessica. Lisa,
Lisa.
yes, yes, Lisa.
And yesterday we had someone else. Okay, I was not
It was
able
it
to.
was it was Sarah. Sarah
Yes.
Lynn. Oh, Sarah. There we go. Sarah Lynn. Okay. So I'm going to put you in there and Jessica. Yeah, Jessica Marchman.
Okay, so Norma is here. Norma saying hi, Sil.
Okay. All right. Hello, Norma. Hello, Norma. Hello, hello. Brilliant, 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 brilliant. Hello, Norma. Yes. Norma says hi, Bina. Can I do Norma's accent? Hello, Bina. No, that doesn't sound right. Hi, Bina. I can't do your voice. I'm trying, Norma. I'm trying. Okay.
You can't
Well,
do this. You
I can't imitate your beautiful voice, Norma, but I try. Well, I have to practice my female voices because when I start reading the story, they mostly female voices. So my apologies, Norma, but I did try. I did try to say hi to Bina on your behalf. Hello, 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 hello. Ah, just glad
can't.
you're here. Glad you're here, Norma. Always thrilled you're here. Always. All right. So I tagged Norma there and Elizabeth and Ramsey and Sher and Lisa and Sarah and Jessica. I'm missing some people, a lot of them, of course, but some people have come and gone. I'm reluctant to tag people unless they've been coming consistently, right? There's many who came on Sunday, of course, but this is by no means inclusive. And I just doing this because I know for sure, you know, you've been here and you enjoyed. All right, Sarah, I've only seen you yesterday, Sarah, but I do hope you come more. But anyway, so I just included you. But I know the others won't mind being tagged. That's my point here, right? So, good, 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 brilliant, Nova, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Nova says she's laughing out loud. Hey, where did your comment go? I saw it and I was about to click love on it and then it disappeared. What happened? Good, Norma. Good, good, good. Enjoy, enjoy. Yeah. Fun. All right, we'll start reading in a moment. There we go. There we go. Now I see the comment. All right, brilliant. I want to get going not too long because, people who watch the replay, they have to sort of skip over this and they don't know how long to skip over. So that's always a bit of a problem, right? So, all right, let's just go and start right away, right? We'll just do it, and others they know they can join anytime. It really doesn't matter, right? Where you jump in. This is the magic of capital R readings. It doesn't really matter. So I got a screen share. There we go. Just look at this. Isn't that a nice, this has got the video playing, but look at that, right? Just in terms of this energy coming from it, right? Moreness energy out there. I don't know. I just thought it was really cool. Yeah. I like this a lot. Yeah, that's a good point there, right? I like to leave lots of room for evolution to lend a hand. From
Yes, I just love this quote.
yes, yes. Now just look at this too, though, right? From a discernment point of view. Look at the
Mhm.
attribution. It's not from understandings or discernments or insights of the new nobility, right? Those are all these supplemental works that we've pulled quotes from. No, this one is from safeguard of the new nobility. This is very different, right?
Yes.
It's a safeguard. Yes, of course, it's an insight and an understanding too, but it's a safeguard. Because, yeah, what does this say to you, Bina, while you say, you know what, I need to make food. So, all right, I'm listening, Bina. I'm going to make food and then we're going to continue. But Uh, Bina, hold on a second.
Yes.
Hold on a second. I want to give you screen share so that you can go forward.
Okay, you are
Uh,
going to give me a remote, not share screen.
remote, yeah. Request desktop. Oh, how do I do that again? Request desktop. No, I don't know how to do it anymore because I go to support and it says
Okay, no,
request desktop
it's in
control.
the live. It's in live maybe, so that's why.
You try it. Yeah, no. Where have you put the stuff, people? Maybe under apps.
Okay, you can
No.
just come for a second and then just scroll it and then we will continue.
All right. All right. All right. Well, I like to know how to do things.
Yes,
So
but it is
yeah.
just going to give people more time when they are going to watch the recording. So just let's start. Right.
Yeah.
Things
Okay. All right. Anyway, I'll have to go back to screen share.
share screen. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So this quote, what does it mean for you? Why do you like it so much, Bean?
Okay. So the first thing is when it says that it starts from I like to. So this is something
Yes.
like it's a deliberate choice. Firstly,
Yes.
it
Yes.
is not
And,
like
and
something just doing. Yes.
yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So it is not something that I'm doing because of force of circumstance or something like, okay, I have to. No, it is
Right.
something I'm choosing. So it is
Yes.
again, of course, a deliberate choice. And the way it's been said, like, okay, I like to. It is something I'm
Yeah.
not only choosing, but it is something, it
Oh,
is a complete awareness. That's why
yeah.
when we say that, okay, I like, it means that we know that what's involved in it. So this just first two words are quite revealing for me that
Yeah.
after understanding and having, okay, not the complete awareness we can say, but yes, most of the awareness about what's involved in it, then we are choosing it. So this is something I really like about I like to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Very
lots of
powerful.
room, yes, and lots of room for evolution to lend a hand. This is
Yeah.
again very, very interesting way to say that because it's not like just okay, yes, so more is to come. No, you are
Yeah.
just creating a nurturing environment and inviting a welcoming environment where actually it can be like an automatic thing. It's going to be like by default it is going to come and lend a hand. So
Yes.
this
Yes.
is something very interesting
And
about
what's the implication concerning evolution?
concerning.
Evolution.
I
Doesn't it imply if I say I'm leaving lots of room for evolution to lend a hand? That implies that one evolution doesn't isn't just the automatic default and it does its own thing by itself. That means that it implies that I can do something on my own concerning evolution, right? To lend a hand to me to what I'm doing. Yeah.
exactly. Okay,
Yeah.
yes. So this
Yeah.
is what I was trying to
Ah.
communicate
Oh.
that this
Okay.
is the way it has been said that it is empowerment, which reflects from the
Right.
I like to have that because this is something I'm choosing deliberately. And again, the like word here, it's not like okay, I want, I need. No, it is
Yeah.
something I like. It means that I'm aware of what's
Right.
involved in it.
Right.
So this is also
Right.
very interesting. And then a lend
Yes.
a hand, lend
Yes.
a hand. This is like
Yes.
wow.
And evolution is capitalized. So we implying here that well, I'm taking care of my own evolution, which would be personal evolution or self evolution, right? That would be the um, how to distinguish it from capital A, sorry, capital E evolution, right? That would make the difference. So this is a big point to say
Yes.
that evolution. In other words, we are basically it's a quote about attunement and paying attention to external forces in our lives and this whole the universe, however you want to call it, that's coming and taking and pressing there. But it's also implying that, hey, wait a second, if I'm making space for evolution to lend a hand, I only ask you to lend a hand when I kind of not quite able to do myself, right? Or it's nice, it's helpful, but the onus, the responsibility is mine. Yes. So I'm even saying that with evolution, capital E evolution, which is a thing on its own, I am still the one who's responsible for my own evolution. Yes. So
Yes, and
this
also it's about,
self-determination is the big key here. Yes.
yeah, it's a choice. It's not a need here. It's not like, okay, I'm
Exactly.
just okay. Yes,
Exactly.
I have other resources also,
Exactly.
but this is something I'm choosing. And
Exactly.
also seeing lots of rooms for evolution. So it's like, okay, yes, I'm completely okay and comfortable with it.
Yeah.
So I know what's involved in it, and I'm just going to create as much as space as I can
Yeah.
for the evolution. Like things are going to grow, and I'm going to nurture them.
Yeah.
This is something.
Exactly.
You need to
Exactly.
explain a bit about safeguards. Why you choose that? This is something I
Well,
know.
well, because it's something that I don't want to fall into this trap. Let me just get my screens organized here. Sorry.
Okay.
Uh, Drag you across. And Norma, so we can see the comments there. Little more, little more, little more. There we go. All right. So it's a safeguard. I want to protect myself from falling into the understanding or the thought trap to think and assume that evolution is something that just sort of automatically happens all on its own. It does, yes, but it's very, very slow and a bit haphazard, right? I mean, you can go like snakes and ladders. Yes, you end up at the top eventually, but it takes a while, right? You could end up going down, right? So evolution on its own, yeah, all right. Sometimes we wanted to lend a hand, yes, but this is a very sophisticated point to say that if I'm opening up for evolution, I've got an intent, I've got the project, I'm going and saying, well, I'm working on my evolution, but I need a little bit of help, right? In that positive way. But it's my onus. The safeguard is to say, I'm not going to fall into that trap of just deferring evolution to evolution because evolution doesn't do that great a job, right? It's a bit slow, right? And haphazard. Yeah. So that's the safeguard, right? To not fall into that trap of just assuming my evolution is going to happen all by itself. It will, but it's so slow I might not notice it. Plus, I might devolve temporarily in the context of eternity or multiple lifetimes, right? To devolve, yeah, it happens. Snakes and ladders, right? So this is why it's a safeguard, right? Because we
Yes.
can easily devolve. This was a big point that came up in the psychology of superiority paradigm, talking about narcissists, BMNs. They're
Mhm.
on a devolution, devolving trajectory. Yes,
Okay, just a
it's a
minute.
big
Hello,
point.
Elizabeth,
Big point.
and hello, Jessica.
Yes. Hello, 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 Elizabeth. Hello, hello, Jessica. And I love the hello, hellos. Hello is a truly magical word. Yes, it's not a word. Hello is a greeting. And when we greet, we do something different. We interact, we connect, we appreciate, we share our understanding of who we are. We're making that connection for our relationship. So this is a greeting is a big, big, big deal, right? It's a huge deal. So wonderful, Elizabeth, that you're here. Wonderful, Jessica, that you're here. We are just taking apart this first quote here. Um, I like to leave lots of room for evolution to lend a hand. So there's somebody coming to join us. That is Jessica. So all right. So Bina, I want to
Yes.
start. And since I'm making food, Bina's reading today. So wonderful.
Okay.
Glad to hear.
Hello,
Right.
Jessica.
Right.
Yes.
Hello, Jessica. So brilliant. So brilliant. So you read and we'll jump in anytime. Right.
Okay.
We'll this is a capital R reading and we are focused on what comes up in us, what it stimulates, what it connects to us. And of course, if comments come, we'll go to the comments, but Bina's going to be treating us to reading today. So go ahead, Bina. Go ahead.
Okay.
Mhm.
The gods already knew humanity was not alone. Many other species had evolved to similar stages of development. None, for various reasons, had evolved ideologically. past where the humans had been at the start of the dream project. In universal terms, this project and the accompanying ideology was also an anomaly, a potential game changer, no less profound than the great gravity engines. But there was a problem.
Oh, 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 oh. No, there's no problem. There's another person coming for an admit. Oh,
Okay.
it's very fun. Is this Jessica coming twice?
Yes.
Oh, it's Lisa. Yes,
Okay,
brilliant.
yes.
Brilliant, brilliant. Hello, Lisa. Hello, Lisa. I'm super
Hello,
pleased to
hello,
hear.
everyone.
Ah,
Hello.
too wonderful, too wonderful. So we just started. You came just at the right time. So, well, you're just gonna have to read that again, please, Pina. It was
Okay.
really cool. So again, see now, just for everybody listening here, we can do things again and again and again. Why? Because we're always applying capital P practice, right? So it's not like, oh, I gotta do it again. No, it's like I get a chance to refine, to fine tune, to add, to implement, right? So now Bina can reread it, and now she's got an idea of what it is, so she can practice nuance and expression and particular emphasis,
Yes, at least I
etc.,
tried.
right?
At least I
Exactly,
will
but
try.
I'm just articulating what you automatically
Yes.
going to be doing, but just for the
Yes.
purposes of understanding that, even in the case like this now, yes, we are saying, okay, reread again, just because Lisa came and just happened to come right now, but it doesn't matter. There's always value. There's always more once we start to connect to that more. So, all right, let's
Okay.
hear the
Okay.
treat of you reading once again.
Okay. The gods already knew humanity was not alone. Many other species had evolved to similar stages of development. None, for various reasons, had evolved ideologically past where the humans had been at the start of the dream project. In universal terms, this project and the accompanying ideology was also an anomaly, a potential game changer, no less profound than the great gravity engines. But there was a problem.
Drama, 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 drama.
Dun, dun,
I, li-
dun.
dun, dun, dun. Exactly, exactly. I love this. I love this. I
Yes.
love this. All right. So
Okay.
now I'm just gonna hold off on all my comments. I got lots of them, but anybody else? Let's go and see
Okay.
what the
The-
problem is.
Okay, so no, but before we go to the problem,
Oh,
there
oh,
is a
okay.
big awareness there. Okay, the gods already knew humanity was not alone. Of course, other species are
Yes,
also part of the
yes,
universe,
yes, yes,
and they evolved, but no one actually just reached that stage like humans. This is
yes.
very interesting because other species, and this is one of my favorite topic also, like how the evolution has changes humans
Yes.
as compared to animals or other species.
Yeah.
Uh, Physically, they other species have evolved much more than us,
Yeah.
but the awareness, in terms of awareness,
Yeah.
humans are like really par excellence. So
Right.
this is something, yes, we can feel good about us. Okay, they other
Yeah.
species do have other advantages, and we are struggling a bit with our not so evolved physical being, but still it's a good thing. And the point you raise in this thing, still, the game
Right.
changer, potential
Right.
game changer.
Yeah, yeah. So let's look a little bit carefully here, right? Because
Mhm.
there's sort of a double nuance, right?
Mhm.
First of all, it's saying none of the other species had evolved ideologically past where the humans had
Yes.
been. So they at a par, at least some of them, right? They're not, they
Yes.
maybe not as much, but they're not more. So
Okay.
basically, they're more or less on the same. However, though, the project and its accompanying ideology, that's an anomaly. That
Yes.
is something that is not out there. So, on the whole, the ideological level of humanity as a whole, the species are on a par. And there's some may be a bit less, but are generally about the same. But this project is a difference. It's a game changer, much as the great gravity engines are, because it's around the noble ideal, right? And that is a big deal. So this is setting this up to say, why is this a big deal? We'll see now. We're going to see now in the next story here, right? I mean, there's implications involved here, lots of implications, and we are part of our capital R reading is paying attention to these implications. Yes. Now,
Yes.
of course, this is useful for the story because it creates an environment in which the things that happen sort of need to happen. Because if it was an environment where, okay, you're going out there and this idea is long everybody's using it, well, then it didn't matter. See, then all the dispersion and all that would matter. So I am in the story from a writing point of view. I'm setting the universe up in a particular way, not because I think humanity necessarily is the top of the pops. It's not a superiority paradigm idea, which you see very much in much writings. The humans always got to be the best, no? But that's not the idea here. The idea here is to create an environment in which the noble ideal becomes the front and center and a necessity and a big deal, etc., etc. And therefore we can be paying attention to it. So I have to sort of create the environment to push this to the front, right? And it's not my personal thinking. I probably suspect that it's the opposite. That when we go out there, we're going to discover, oh, we just gnats in the universe. And well,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah. But anyway,
Okay. The
uh,
gods considered the consequences of humanity's new expansion into the greater universe. Would the new ideological goals hold? Would they develop as the project originators hoped? Or would humanity's old habits reassert under the pressure of starting fresh? Would the same distortion of that grand corrupter, superiority, again establish itself because of scarcity, just as it had everywhere else the gods knew of? They knew the horrors resulting from the dominance psychology they had helped foster. Well, that's a big
yeah,
accusation. There's a big
yeah.
accusation right there on gods. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, they started it. They started this thing with superiority and pushing it. I'm a god. I'm wonderful. I'm blah, and you got to worship me, etc., etc. All this nonsense,
This
right?
is, this is what God has started, or this is what our Lackness has started or created something like, oh,
Well,
we need
well,
something. Yeah,
it didn't say they started it necessarily. It just said they helped to foster it, right? So it's a
exactly.
very particular word, to foster,
Yeah.
right? They cultivated it, they accentuated, they made it a thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at, if we just assume that we evolved from whatever kind of animal life, at
Mm-hmm.
some point we were all deeply involved in that. This is not something that's, superiority paradigm is not unique to humans.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Oh,
it's
it's
in
big time with
it's
the
it's it's
primitives.
it's part of nature, right? So it's a big
So
factor there. Go ahead,
is
Lisa.
that is that what you mean when you say, I mean, it being part of nature, is that what you mean when you say establish itself because of scarcity? You mean
Exactly,
as in
exactly.
competition?
Exactly. You
Yes.
took the words right out. I was just about to get there. Thank you, Lisa. This is a big understanding of where the superiority paradigm comes from, right? In that there's scarcity, and you've got to fight over the resources, and that fight over the resources as well. If you're the top dog, in other words, you get the lion's share. That's where the word comes from, right? You get the lion's share of the scarcity resources. Yeah?
Uh-huh.
Um,
I
and
was
and
reading an interesting, I'm sorry,
oh no, go ahead.
okay, a parallel story today, just before I came on the con
Wonderful.
here, that kind of ties in also with what Bina was saying about she loves how humanity's awareness kind of seems to be, so much more evolved than other animals.
Yeah.
But like, I was reading a story about the orcas, maybe some of you saw it, who are beginning, orcas in the Straits of Gibraltar have been attacking yachts and sinking them.
Wow. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Hmm.
Wow. Wow.
That's interesting.
That's
And
very
it's not,
Yes.
interesting.
they've done it
Yes.
more than once. I mean, they literally sank a yacht. I mean, they had to drag the yacht back to shore and it didn't make it. The yacht sunk.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And,
And good.
they had scars on their backs, so, they can't assume what's causing the behavior, but you know, let's face it, it's aggressive. It's
yeah,
organized because they're doing it in a pod.
wow,
So that's a very interesting,
yeah,
you know,
um,
aspect of awareness. And there's a lot of
yeah,
different
yeah,
examples of that in animals, that
yes,
animals are becoming more aware, much more aware.
interesting.
Like
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, yeah,
maybe some of you have seen that one clip of the orangutan that was on front of a tractor in the jungle, like waving his arm, you know, because
yeah,
they were bulldozing down the jungle to put in their
yeah,
palm
yeah,
farms.
yeah, yeah,
And this
yeah, yeah,
orangutan was like
yeah,
trying to defend its territory. It was so
right.
heartbreaking.
Now, this is a great point here. So let me pop out a screen share because I want to really get into this. This is a lot involved here. First of all, assumptions. When we look at animals, we judge them or assess them or evaluate them or perceive them, understand them relative to the aggregate. And this is a terrible thing to do. If we imagine if you were to look at humanity as a whole and you aggregate humanity in terms of its awareness, sensibility, intelligence, whatever, that's not very helpful for humanity, is it? Right? That's not a great positive thing for humanity. On the whole, on the average, what do people mostly do? They go about their tasks and their daily things, and they kind of don't really make much of a difference, right? That's okay. You're contributing. But our leaps in civilization, in awareness, they came from exceptional individuals, right? Uh, they were outside the norm. So when we look at where we are at now, I mean, what did I have to do with all this technology? I didn't create any of it. I'm the beneficiary of somebody else's invention, ideologically, philosophically, musically, artistically, all of this stuff, right? So when we really gauge something, we have to look at those exceptions. And how often do we notice exceptions in the animal world? This is one of the things that I love about the internet. We are seeing those videos of those exceptional animals which have a different
Yes.
awareness, a different
Mm-hmm.
understanding, like that
Mm-hmm.
orangutan. It's an exception. It's not the norm. It's an exception. And that's what changes the species. That our evolutionary jumps are driven by those leaps out of the ordinary. Yes? Make sense?
Oh yes. And
All
how
right.
how interspecies as well are communicating, like, you know, different types of animals, you know, like cuddling up. Like there's this one that I kind of like where there's a dog and a bird of all things, you know, like
Exactly.
um you know, and you know, they're like best friends.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Well, if we can make friends with other species, why can't other species? Why is we
Exactly.
arrogant to think we're the only ones that can make friends with other species?
So awareness really, I think it's all
Right.
happening at once in a
Yeah.
relative
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
parallel
Yeah.
manner. It's just
Yeah.
it's hard to grasp it, and it's hard to
Yeah.
notice it
Or,
from
or,
where we sit,
right.
from our
Or we just,
perspective.
right. Oh, it's all happening, but it may have been happening for a long time, but we just never noticed it. So because of
Correct.
cameras, we notice
Yes.
these things
Hmm.
that we didn't notice before. Now,
Hmm.
that noticing is an attention on it, and that is going to add to the development and the growth.
Absolutely.
So it feeds
Absolutely.
on
Yeah.
itself. It feeds on itself.
Hmm.
So it's very magical. And if we start taking attent and the power of attention, attention changes things. So let's go back to the scarcity and how scarcity causes dominance, right? Like I said, if we in a tribe just of human beings, right, and we go to a new planet, and we kill something, right, to eat or whatever, or go pick fruit and berries, because all right, some of your sorry, Norma says, no, I'm not killing anything, I'm just going to live off the berries because Norma's vegan, right? So all right, that's wonderful, Norma. But nonetheless, what are we going to do, us as a group here now, huh? Are we going to go and say we harvest whatever resources are there? Are we then going to fight over those resources, like all the berries we've collected and tubers and stuff, right? No, we're going to share it. Yes, because we are evolved. But if we're primitive and we're unevolved, then we fight over it. And that's where the dominance comes from. Because if there's not enough for all of us in the sharing, if we fight over it, well, whoever wins gets the most. Right? They eat their full, and then whatever's left you can have. Yeah, that's how dominance became to be this big deal, and it made a life or death difference. Because if you're at the bottom of the pecking order, you may go hungry, and this literally happens to sometimes in lions or predator tribes. The one at the bottom of the pecking order doesn't get enough food, and it gets weaker and weaker and smaller, and eventually it just gets, it dies, or gets it can't keep up, and it dies in accident or other predators or whatever, right? So your position in the hierarchy in that type of a non-cooperative environment was literally a life or death matter. And this is deeply entrenched in our psychologies, because this has been going on. Yes, it got shifted from physical fighting into psychological fighting. I've got status, I'm important, I'm a chief, I'm this, right? So there were other ways to assess this, but all of it was part of the same logic, right? I get a bigger share of the pie. Yeah. So when you look at cultures like, where you got a dictator, that's what a dictator is saying. Well, I'm going to choose and take the bulk of the pie. Right? This is their logic. They're not doing it to say, well, I'm going to do this on your behalf. I'm doing this for your benefit, and you don't know what to do it. Not like a beneficial dictator. So when we understand that scarcity, if not dealt with ideological sophistication, can lead to this primitive behavior. Yeah. Elizabeth says they can't get unhooked from flawed thinking, need to upgrade fast. Yes, absolutely. So this is a very, very powerful thing, and we want to avoid this, and this is what we're about, right? That last sentence, they knew the horrors resulting from the dominant psychology they had helped foster, right? Because in all of our mythology, it's all about the gods asserting their dominance. And in their dominance, they got so crazy, this whole idea of worship, for instance, right? What does this do? If you worshiping me, then you pushing me, and I'm entrenching my position at the top of the thing, right? And the psychological need of being approved and all of this, it's a very fascinating psychology, because you think that you're at the top of the pile, but you're actually dependent on those that are now worshiping you. It's a very fascinating, peculiar relationships. The universe is kind of humor and balance, as it were. But nonetheless, if you look at all that mythology that comes from our past, it's all pushing this idea of hierarchy, the need for hierarchy. And when something's at the top, you've got to worship it and treat it as unquestionable. So that's the psychology that's being entrenched now. It's a tactic used by those at the top to make sure they stay at the top. Well, if I'm a god, then you can't mess with me, right? I mean, many of the emperors in Rome declared themselves as God. Never mind that they didn't have any powers or anything, right? But it helped them to stay on top. At least that was the idea. Of course, it didn't. Many of them ended up getting killed and slaughtered and massacred and whatnot. So it didn't always help them. But it's a good thing to be aware of. And just understand how this whole thing comes and where it comes from. And scarcity is the root of it, unfortunately, right? However, if those that had scarcity learned to cooperate, they would have gotten a lot further in the longer run. All right, so keep going, please, Bina.
Okay. So I have a question, because what you, Lisa, were sharing, this is really interesting for me. Um, I personally feel, okay, of course, I need time to think about it, and of course, I need to ponder on it. But
Yeah.
when you were sharing, I thought that mostly animals or other species experiences and awareness is majorly, I'm not saying entirely, but majorly dependent on their personal experience and direct physical experience. They learned these things, they become aware of or through their physical experience. Unlike them, humans have this ability to grab more and speculate and preempt and, of course, imagine more. So that's why they are able to develop their awareness
Yeah.
compoundedly, yes, and more. It's just the
Yes, the
difference between,
compound is the thing. The compound is this thing.
yes,
That's where language
yes.
comes into it.
And
Yeah.
if we just connect it, if we say that this is what it is actually for me, that the difference between our awareness and other species awareness is that we have this ability to see the more, to have that more.
Yeah.
Because mostly other species, they learn this, that any experience or any awareness for them comes through the physical, direct, personal experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
But humans are not dependent on that. They learn
Correct.
books, they read
Correct.
books, and then they learn through other people's experience. And also, they imagine. They have this ability to imagine things and thinking it through to the end. And then
Yeah.
they develop that, this compounding
Yeah.
effect in their awareness is the real difference between the awareness other species have and we
Right.
have.
But if that's true, then how do you explain the 100th monkey syndrome, Dina?
Yes. Okay. So that is something that, okay, they were saying that, okay, and I read about that, and so many people were quoting this, and they have this this collective consciousness that they were tapping into the energy, the collective energy and the awareness. This is a completely different thing. But I'm saying that not entirely, not completely, but majorly dependent. Their awareness dependent on their direct physical and personal
Yeah.
experience. So it's not like entirety that, okay, no, they don't have other thing that, but we are mostly humans have this ability unless or
Yeah.
until they have some other illnesses or some other
Right,
syndrome
yeah.
or something else.
I see what you're saying, yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So the starting quote, which you may have missed here, Lisa, is, I like to leave lots of room for evolution to lend a hand. Now, in the 100th monkey, that's evolution at work. But where are those monkey tribes today? They learned one thing, and yes, it changed their
Exactly.
behavior in that instance, but they still a tribe of monkeys doing mainly monkey things, right? They didn't really step out of that. So what I'm trying to say, at least in this quote here, why it's from safeguards, is that if we rely on evolution and evolution alone, it's a slow process, and also evolution has snakes and ladders. Sometimes things devolve as well, like BMNs, narcissists, they on a devolving trajectory, not evolving. But if we take charge of our evolution, we can greatly accelerate it. And when, like in those monkeys, yes, they learned something. And after many of them doing it, at least it needed 100 of them to do it, right? Then it started to grab onto the whole. But does that 100 always happen? No, not necessarily. There are many other instances where you say, wow, man, you've got a good idea, monkey, but your pals aren't doing it and the other tribes aren't doing it. So you don't get to that 100th monkey. So it's a bit hit
Yes.
and miss. But if they had language, if they had the ability to communicate, they could share this, and through the sharing, that hundreds starts to come a lot quicker. And this is the magic and the power of language. That's why I call language the gateway to awareness, because we can accelerate our learning, our understanding. We can learn from each other, not just learn individually, right? And therefore, when we start to share, that 100th monkey effect can kick in. Yeah. Now, I wonder if in humans, I imagine that the 100 starts to go up a little bit. Maybe it's not specifically 100, happened to be with the monkeys, but I don't know if it's specifically 100 in humans. Maybe it's a greater number. I'm not sure. It's an interesting point to contemplate. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, very much so, very much so. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just nice to know that we want to be in this space where we are taking a very active part in our own evolution, right? And this is the whole project is about
Exactly.
this. We are putting this
Exactly.
humanity out there where they're going to evolve and our descendants, but we're going to give them the best opportunity, all the tools for this purposeful, deliberate evolution based on avoiding all the negatives and the best possible that we can be. We aren't just evolving and going on according to the sort of the normalness. No, we're going to say we're going to leapfrog evolution, essentially, right? At least this is the intent of the project and the intent of the story. Yeah. Right.
Yes. So philosophically, we can just have this definition that,
Yeah.
okay, yes.
Yeah.
So that,
Well,
that the ability to create more or moreness is the real factor behind the evolution of human species, which
yeah.
is giving them a bit edge over other
Yeah.
species.
Exactly. Well, again, it's not to have an edge from a dominance point of view or
No.
competition point of view. It just happens to be so. And now we're going
Yes.
to see how this comes in the story, why this is a big deal and how the gods treat us. Will you just read Elizabeth's comment there, please, Bina?
Okay, so Elizabeth is saying maybe when the individual imagines excellence and creates meaning that transform their own life, this changes more that others can access.
Yes. Yes, 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 and a big, big yes. That sentiment that you are expressing there is the core mandate of the new Nobility Corporation, which is to foster, promote awareness through being, being, to promote awareness through being, not through specific actions, not putting out writings, no, through being. When you have this excellence and that you have meaning and you're transforming your own life, you promote change simply that others can access because they can see it, right? It's there. It's there. It's an option. It's not being fettered. It's not being force fed. You're not saying you have to do this. No, I am the way I am. If you like it, you can also be this way. I'm showing by example and also showing via choice and option. Because when you start telling people it, they don't listen because they don't want to be told. They want to learn it for themselves because they inherently understand that's how awareness works. If you do it because you're told, you're just a robot and it's not really yours. You have to make it your own for it to be really yours. So therefore you have to choose it, right? You have to deliberately choose it. So this whole point of making a difference through being is a very, very big point. Yes. And of course, excellence, right? Very big point.
Yes,
All right,
and
Jessica,
and
and I mentioned Jessica's just listening because she hasn't jumped in yet. But if Jessica or Lisa, if you guys feel like reading, please jump in
oh
and read.
yes,
Just
please,
say,
please.
yeah.
Oh, I'm also listening, but also getting in the process of I'm working on my day and as well as thinking about some things, and something that really struck me so was
Mhm.
when you're talking about just the term and the idea of just being. And when I first started with everything, I was like, well, how do you just be? Like, what does that mean?
Yes, yes.
And um and that's the thing is when you are in my own experience, um I have learned that by not allowing little things in life, say for instance, if somebody just is having a bad day and takes it out on you,
Mm,
I'm not going to allow that's like just me just being there and I just happen to be there. Now, me just being is not allowing it to affect me. In other words,
exactly,
I don't take it personally. It's not worth my energy
exactly,
to take it personally.
exactly.
Um, just being is very protective over your own energy,
Mm,
over my own energy, just in my own personal experience with it.
exactly.
And just and not having to worry about, for me it means not having to worry about fitting into a box of somebody else
Mm,
or fitting into the box of other people. It's fitting into my own universe, my own
exactly,
world, my own self,
exactly,
and creating that.
exactly, exactly. So if we are going to exhibit being, it's sort of implied in this being that it's independence of being, right? That we aren't able to, we aren't pressured, we aren't influenced, we aren't affected by what's around us. We can be receptive to it, of course, and we are. And we can choose to do this, which is the whole point of interactivity and communication and collaboration. But we aren't so automatically just because, well, we don't have any independence of being, and that makes all the difference, right? So when we're exhibiting this independence, this is a very desirable state of being because we aren't vulnerable, we aren't easily manipulated, etc., right, or influenced. And it's a very desirable state of being to be. I am in charge of my own evolution, in other words, but I'm also interacting, communicating, learning. It's, we've got the best of everything. So this is where this being, this capital B being, is so profound and important, so huge, so huge. Yeah.
Jessica, I can relate to that. That was the question. Like it's like been there. Yes, I was struggling big with this idea, and because I was reading some learning. Actually, not reading because one of my friend is practicing Zen Buddhism, and he used to share a lot, and I was struggling with the idea of being. It was quite irritating in the beginning that okay, what it means that. And through a way of impeccability process journey also this question coming again, just be, just being, just being. And it was like how like what do you really want me just existing without having any feeling, any perspective, anything, because this is
Wow.
what just being means. But then later on it just become like automatically it comes to me, and I realize that just being means that what mostly is echoing in my mind, heart and soul. Which perspective are they coming from me or are they coming from someone else?
There you go.
Yes,
Choice,
both
choice,
a
choice.
lot, a lot, a lot come, of course. I'm listening to you, I'm listening to Sil, I'm listening to Lisa and Elizabeth and everyone. So yeah, of course they are going to come. And what I'm going to, of course, as Sil was saying, going to allow to echo, keep echoing in my mind.
Yeah.
This is something, it is my choice. And this is what the real crux of just being, or just be for me, again for me, that okay, this is what I'm allowing, this is my choice, and this is how I feel myself. Okay, so are
Yes.
we going to read
Yes.
further?
Yes.
So
Yes. 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 Yes.
I
Yes.
can't
Oh,
read
okay.
through this.
All right,
Yes.
I'll just responding to Norma there. Sorry. Wonderful, Norma. I love that you using your phone and the computer together. Very tech savvy.
Wow.
Very tech
Wow.
savvy. Very cool. Yes, wonderful. All right, brilliant. So this point of being, why it's so emphasized and why it's the actual mandate of the new Nobility Corporation, because it promotes choice. In order to actually just be, you have to decide what you want to be. You have to determine what you want to be. You have to be clear about your intents in life, because it's your life intent that determines what you are, how you be. Yes.
Yes.
So that's why we start off in way of impeccability, as Jessica, Lisa, you guys know, right? With a clarity of intent. It determines your being very profoundly. That whole dictionary of power, those are the building blocks of your being. Yes, not your doings, but your being. Yes, the things you are going to do, like you are going to do impeccability, you're going to do awareness, but do you do awareness or do you be awareness? Are you awareness? You see? So yes, it's kind of a doing and a being combined. And when we understand this, that the being is also a doing, but it's a particular kind of a doing. Yes,
Yes.
like the doing of being aware. Yes, I'm being aware. I'm being impeccable. See, being, right? I'm not doing impeccability. I'm being impeccable. It has to be total. It has to be in your body, in your entirety, your psyche, your psychology, your spirit, everything, right? So this is the nuance there, that you have to live it. You have to fully feel it in all of you. In other words, own it and have it to be your own. And this is where that whole self-proof comes in as we go through wave impeccability. All these particular things that I'm mentioning, we are going to focus on in particular. They all add up together. So this was a great comment on being. I don't know where it came from, but whoever said it, it's a very cool point, right? All right, go ahead, Bina. Keep reading. Unless you want to read, Lisa. Jessica's busy doing stuff, so maybe she can't. Maybe you are too.
Venus doing a wonderful job.
I just
Thank
want to
you.
be inclusive. I just inclusive,
Yes.
just part of me. Inclusivity is a capital I. Inclusivity, it's a big deal to me. So
Go ahead.
I just have to share that. All right, we're listening, Vina. Yes, you are doing a
Okay.
wonderful job. Keep going, keep going.
Oh, thank you. Other species had, to greater or lesser extents, mostly lesser, also suffered this pain. Some had not. But was it fair to all those other species? And there were a good number of them in humanity's destination galaxy. Was it fair to risk their survival and progress to an untried new humanity? Old humanity certainly could not be allowed this possibility for dominance which the great gravity engines presented.
Hmm.
Big question. Big question. All ethics,
Yes.
all impeccability
Yes,
in question.
exactly. Exactly. And you see, here it comes in now why I set up the universe, at least in this galaxy. Well, to be as one where everybody was more or less on the same footing, except for this noble ideal, right? And now it poses this great dilemma, as it were,
Mhm.
right? That well, maybe humanity will, this noble ideal, maybe it will take off and work, but because of the great gravity engines, this is a great risk, right? That you're taking. So that's the
Absolutely.
point making here. Can we risk sending humanity out there with this power of the, if they just going to another planet, let's say we could just transport them and put them on another planet and they're isolated there. Well, what's the difference? It's the same as them being isolated here. And all of our nonsense that we get up to, all our wars and all this pointless nonsense that we get involved in, it only affects us. It's not affecting anybody else, right? Any other species? Well, it's affecting animal species, yes, but
Wow.
look how responsible we are there. You see, so it's like, yeah, wow, you already proven that you are not very sensible when it comes to other species, right? So what about other species that really threaten you? Now you're going to go crazy. You're going to be all genocidal, which is what, if we look at the of humans specifically, and you look at them wars and all this, as soon as something gets too threatening, you go and you wipe it out. This has been our history. It's a horrible history that we have, right? It's a very terrible history. So
Mhm.
yeah, well, that's why the superiority paradigm
But
has got to go.
just this question right here, actually, just going to need actually and ask for practicing all your ideas from way of impeccability and moreness. Your
Exactly,
impeccability is in question. Your
exactly,
appropriateness is in question.
exactly,
Your thoroughness is
exactly,
in question. Your discernment is in question. You need to apply
exactly,
everything before making this question, before making any decision.
exactly.
Also, that putting yourself into this in this position where
Yeah,
you have
yeah,
to be,
yeah,
just imagining that
yeah,
gives me goosebumps, like, okay, yes, oh my god, it's a big deal. I'm just going to be in that I'm going to decide the future. How can I do
yes,
this? And if I really
yes,
have to do this, what will be the criteria? So coming back to the question again, what I asked you 2 sessions ago, that okay, what actually could be the thing when we can actually risk something on maybes. We can take risk on maybes,
yes,
especially when it involves others. Yes,
yes.
I can be completely foolish and stupid and jump from the cliff without having anything. This is what I always practice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
if it involves someone else's life, how I can do this? How I
Then
can
you
be,
then you have to go to another level of
of
care and
course,
consideration and thoroughness
exactly,
and deliberation, and you have to be sure.
exactly,
And now, if it's just one person, but what if it's a whole species? Yeah, you've
exactly,
got to be
exactly.
absolutely sure. Right.
Absolutely. Okay. And the other thing is that the other profound benefit of reading this story in this way is actually that just to imagine yourself in a leadership role. This is
Yes.
this is going to prepare you for any possible, okay, potential or just imaginary role of any leadership, that
Yes.
how these
Yes.
decisions has to be made. You have
Yes.
to, you are
Yes.
having an opportunity to practice
Yes.
that and preempt.
Yes.
Maybe in future, who knows, Jessica or Lisa or Sil or me or
Yeah.
Elizabeth or
Yeah.
sure, whoever, okay,
Yeah.
get into that situation where we have to make decisions not for only for ourselves, but for others. This is where the true leadership will come.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
It's a
Yes.
big deal. It's a
Yes.
big deal.
Now, before we go further, you're bringing in this concept of leadership here, and
Yes.
I just want to. Somebody's joining us. This is wonderful. This is wonderful. Can you
Oh,
see
oh,
that, Bettina?
Lisa dropped
Oh,
actually.
oh, 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 I see. All right. Okay.
Yes.
Lisa's back. Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. Let's just wait for her to join. There we go. There we go.
Yes.
So while you drop there, Lisa, Norma. Hello, Norma. You in my mind, Norma? You in my mind? See, you just come out. So, not Norma, but Bina introduced this concept of leadership, And leadership is a big deal here. Now, what do we mean by leadership? Do we mean bossiness?
Oh, absolutely not.
No, do we
No.
mean no? Of course not, right? We don't mean being in charge of others. We mean leadership, which is true leadership, which is essentially not only being an example, but also taking the initiative. That's typically what
Exactly.
leadership comes down to. It's just somebody who's decided to take the initiative and saying, "Hey, I've got this great idea. Who's with me?" Right? And okay, if you like the idea, you do. It's just initiative. Because a lot of times, well, it's like you just like you saying what I would like to do also. Well, why didn't you do it? Well, no, whatever. No particular reason. I didn't take that initiative, right? So leadership is taking initiative here, and that's what we mean by when we're talking about leadership, right? Our leader, Bean and I spoke about this a lot, so that's why I'm saying we in this case, right? We really went
Yes.
into a deep discernment of what leadership means. But I just want to make this point that as we go along, when we introduce these concepts, it's a very good idea to define them, right? Because now leadership is going to go in our dictionary of power, and we're going to write out the extended understanding of it, and we're going to say what it means to us. And it's not that we are particularly taking words and redefining them. No, we are just going through and taking them out what they actually mean. And this is something that's inherent to the term. All it does is you just have to think it through. Because if you really think it through, people, when you say leadership, for most people, they do take leadership to mean somebody bossing them about. But when you say, is that actual real? And then you start to go through it and say, yeah, now that I think about it, well, not actually, right? So this is what we're doing. We just taking the terms to the end point, right?
Yes.
The concern, this, Elizabeth says, this concern is the cause for the desire to learn. Yes, exactly. Leaders are
Yes.
learners.
Yes.
Absolutely.
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 It's their initiative taking has come about from that desire to learn, that desire for more. They're not content to just sit around and wait for somebody else to do it because, well, that's never going to happen. So I want to know more. I want to have more. And the desire for moreness is really a desire to learn. Yes, absolutely,
Absolutely.
Elizabeth. Absolutely. So very, very key. Right. So did we read the slide already or not yet?
No,
And
no.
sometimes in
Oh, go
leadership,
ahead, Jessica. Go ahead.
sometimes in leadership that also entails making a decision
Yes,
on something that, but yet also at the same time, an informed decision. Um,
exactly.
and one of pure intent and
Yes,
as well as a deliberateness, and also
yes,
without compromising yourself as well.
exactly. Exactly. So, yes, when you have been assigned leadership, or even sometimes when you take it upon yourself, you might take on responsibility on behalf of others. Now,
Exactly.
boy, oh boy, is this ever a most sacred, profound thing to do? Yes, because especially if we get into capital R responsibility from way of impeccability, we are saying, man, me, I'm responsible for everything in my life. And it's very hard to really be responsible for others. However, this can happen when you have been entrusted with making decisions on behalf of others. Yeah, it's a very tricky thing. So that as a leader, a true leader takes this particular responsibility profoundly serious, which is why many sensible people say, "Oh, hell no, I'm not going to be in a position of leadership. I don't want to take on that responsibility. I don't even know what's good for me. How can I possibly decide what's good for you?" That's why I don't have children. That very point, right?
Mm.
That very
Yes.
point. I did never felt in my life that I have enough sensibility to decide what is right for somebody else. Now you might say, "Wow, your whole life is about, the understanding moreness, this, impeccable."
But you're not
Nonetheless,
deciding.
that's just my deep humility. So, say again,
Well,
Jessica.
yeah, but what you're doing it, you're not deciding for people that you work with.
Yeah,
You are giving them the tools. You're planting a seed for them
that's
to
right.
grow, not for
Yeah,
you to grow.
yeah,
And whereas you're a parent, you're planting a seed for also you to help grow and,
yes,
nurture and
yes,
nourish.
yes,
And For us, it's up to us to grow and nurture and nourish that seed. We have the choice. We can let it die, or we can continue to let it grow and nurture and learn and,
Right.
things like that.
Yeah.
But I will read the next one, by the way, just so you're aware.
Oh, you want to read it? Go ahead.
Yes.
Okay. Because I pre-read it.
Read then. Then you have to read it again now since you pre-read it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What if humanity did not evolve as planned, as hoped? What then? What if they reverted? It would be a long while before they would be able to return to Earth. Even if Earth itself evolved this new direction, it evolved in this new direction, it would not matter. As the secret of the God or the great gravity engines would leave with this new grand experiment, there would be no reason, there would be no second wave. The chances of that incredible, even to the gods, accident of discovery happening again were beyond astronomically slim.
Yes. Pacing, Elizabeth. Pacing is a capital P.
Pacing
Pacing
ends. I
for.
got Nobility.
Sorry, I said Elizabeth. Sorry, Elizabeth. Sorry. I don't know why this happens, people. I mean Jessica, and I'm saying Elizabeth. Why? I truly do not know.
It
So
happens all the time.
pacing Jessica. Right.
But
See, in reading, pacing is a very good exercise. I'm very pleased you read. So just you can practice that pacing. It's a very good opportunity. Yeah, go ahead. I love that. That was very cool. Go ahead.
what if humanity did not evolve as planned, as hoped? Like, that's a good
Slower.
question.
Yeah.
Oh, do you want me to read it again?
Yeah, read it again,
Oh.
but read it with more attention and slower and pacing a little
Okay,
bit, just for the practice of it. I love
No,
practicing
not a
reading. It's
problem.
something we can never get enough of. Right, go ahead.
Okay. What if humanity did not evolve as planned, as hoped? What then?
Mm.
What if they reverted? It would be a
Yes.
long while before they would be able to return to Earth. Even if Earth itself evolved in its new direction. And I just messed that one up too. Even if Earth itself evolved in this new direction,
Mm.
it would not matter. As the secret of the great gravity engines would leave with this new grand experiment, there would be no second wave. The chances of that incredible, even to the gods, accident of discovery happens again. We're beyond astronomically some. I have so many things
Yeah.
going on my screen.
I love it. No, it's all good. Okay, so you bring up something that's really interesting here, right? Which is why I'm very happy for you to read. That we read and we see a word picture. And we our brain starts to assume, what is this, right? That's why accident became ancient, because they're very similar in appearance, and the brain is sort of matching it, right, and finding this. So in other words, we are reading sometimes when we read, like, excuse me, we aren't reading according to what we actually see, but according to what we think we see.
Yes.
And this skill of actually seeing and actually hearing what there actually is, not what we think there is. This is a profound skill. That's why I enjoy practicing this reading, because it's to hear this. I mean, when you just listen to people, watch conversations between two people or listen to them, right? And pay attention to how much either is actually hearing what's actually being said. Very seldom. It's a profound thing. But when we start to actually hear what people say, we hear all sorts of fantastic things that I don't think sometimes the people even themselves realize they are saying and sharing. It is
But
truly
see,
profound. It's truly
if you
profound.
think about that, though, that also goes hand in hand with what I'm actually reading and what I actually listen to myself saying.
Yes, that's another skill. See, you caught those, which is profound, because sometimes people read and they don't even notice that they made those mistakes. Yeah, because they're not listening to themselves. Right. So this is a very profound thing. So it's very useful. That's why I enjoy these things. Moreness coming out of simple things. Moreness. Yeah, Bina?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you for doing this again and again, because this is
Mm,
so amazing.
mm,
Every single time we get more and more out of it. So
exactly.
Norma is saying that assume all equally intelligent. So do they need a leader? Link all the minds together. Okay.
Yes.
Again, actually, thank you for bringing this point again, just for the emphasis sake,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
this is what Sil was sharing before, that leaders are not just someone who is just going to control everything and they are going to just give orders
Yeah.
and command and
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
In leadership, in way of impeccability and Moreness terms, is just initiators who just
Yeah.
take that
Yeah. Yeah.
responsibility out of appropriateness. First
Yes.
thing, this
Yes.
is
Yes.
exactly the basic thing.
Yes.
It has to be
Yes.
appropriate. If it is needed,
Yes.
then of course they are just going to initiate that. And
Exactly.
if we just say that, okay, just connect everything together. Just imagine like how we write alphabets or numbers. They just
Yeah.
start from one to infinity, and then of course A to Z. There is no hierarchy involved into this. It is just the initiator. We have to start somewhere. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I
this
love
is
this.
this
So
is what the point.
I love Norma's comment too, because it
Yes,
goes
absolutely.
so deep, Norma, into the intent of this noble ideal. And later
Yes.
with when like on Sunday when we actually go planet side and we go onto this one planet in the future now, many centuries after the great dispersion, right? We're just going to jump in time here. We're going to be there in this community now. On Nobilia, when it comes to a project, let's say whatever something needs to be happened, I'm trying to think of an appropriate project that we could do. All right, well, let's say we're going to build a park, right? They have lots of parks and beautiful gardens and all of this, right? Let's let's say all of us here are going to. We've got this piece of land that's been set aside, and we're going to transform it into this park, this beautiful garden, and we shall call it the Garden of Moreness. I don't know if I have gardens listed in. I've got a little list somewhere that I'll show you. I'll show you just I'm making an aside here because this is for somebody's benefit, right? About making a point about organization. There we go. See, got to be organized. So I kept a list of the different gardens. There's the Garden of Integration, Garden of Virtue. These are gardens on Nobilia that are mentioned in the story. Of course, there's many more. So, all right, I can check. No, there's no Garden of Moreness. So we'll call our garden that we're going to make this. Everybody who's here now, the six of us or seven or however many, doesn't matter. We're going to create this Garden of Moreness. Now, how would this actually happen, right? We would say, okay, we're going to do this garden, and the idea comes from somewhere. All right, so but now say, all right, well, let's meet tomorrow, right? I mean, you could say that. Any one of you could say, well, cool, I'm down. I want to make a garden, and when are we meeting? Okay, tomorrow. Tomorrow's fine. All right, so tomorrow we all meet there at the garden. Well, obviously you're going to bring your tools with, or I guess it's Nobilia. There's going to be tools somewhere over there, and we just get started. Now we say, well, we're just going to haphazardly, randomly do it, uh, or what? I think, though, that if this was the way I anticipate this to be, if we all have a measure of sobriety and sensibility, yes, and you understand appropriateness. Well, what are we going to start to do? Well, it's a garden, and we're going to, well, at least we got to start with clearing out what we don't want. Yes, I mean, if this is now just the raw, um, wild nature, yes. So that's an obvious thing. Yeah, we don't have to discuss that. We don't have to have a plan for that. That's just a duh, right? I mean, when I start digging there, what am I doing? Well, I'm obviously clearing out the stuff that doesn't need to be there. Okay. So do we need a leader to tell us to do this? No, we all know this is like a duh. It's all it's appropriate. So we just clear out all the stuff. Okay. So now we finished clearing out. And now we say, now what's appropriate to do? Well, that depends. Each of us will say. That depends on how we're going to imagine this garden to be. Do we want this garden to be just all flowers, grass, whatever, some other thing? Maybe it's a poppy field. Maybe it's going to be all clover. Who knows? So now we have to get together and collaborate, because now we've got choice involved. Before, we just did what was the obvious duh. It's like, well, we just did it, and we don't need a leader for that. We don't need a leader to decide what we want to do. Now we get together and we just come naturally. We say, well, I can't go any further. It depends on what we want to do. And then I might say, well, I love grass in gardens, and okay, so, but you know what? This idea of a poppy field or of a clover, or instead of grass, just all clover. Maybe clover under moss. All right, moss and clover. Wow. Okay. All right. So you say, well, all right, Norma, what would your idea be for this garden? What would you like to have? See, Lisa, what would you like? Jessica, what would you like?
How about 4-leaf clover?
A whole garden of 4-leaf clover. Yes, we're in the future, and we have a capability for genetic engineering. So absolutely, we can have a whole garden of 4-leaf clovers. Wonderful. Yippee. Right. Anybody? Again, see, let's hear some more ideas, because again, we're practicing perspective shifting to multiple perspectives, which means we don't grab the first idea that comes along. Right. So maybe that idea stimulates ideas. So let's hear it. Jessica, what's your idea for the garden?
The element of like a waterfall, I think for me that would be very peaceful with lilies.
Okay, waterfall. Okay, we can have a waterfall, and we can have clover and moss maybe, and we can have 4-leaf clovers. So this is an addition. Brilliant. Okay, Norma and Elizabeth, since you guys are in comments, please write out your ideas for the garden here. What's yours, Bina? And again, not one. See, you just gave one idea, you guys. You could have said many ideas. Well, I want a waterfall, and I want tall trees. See, we want to break this habit of one.
It needs to have an element of ever evolving on its own, since it's called Moreness.
Wow, listen to this genius from Lisa. Even though it was a lot of buzzing there, I heard it come through. This garden needs to have an element of ever evolvingness, because it's the garden of moreness. So you see, Jessica, I think you and I, we both forgot the title, the name of the garden, right? We forgot the intent of the garden, which Lisa just came back. Right, Lisa's focusing on clarity of intent, right, Lisa? So this is front and center. Very wonderful. So let's reconsider, Lisa, Jessica. Yeah, it doesn't mean we can't have a waterfall
Nope, I still stand by my waterfall, because waterfalls, hold on, this is my reason for it.
Yeah, listening.
Waterfalls, because waterfalls create streams, and they create a consistent change and evolving of new life, of new, everything. And because water is essential. And so
look at this.
Therefore, I stand by my waterfall, because there's so many things that can go with the waterfall.
Yes.
There's magic in water. And so that's why I stand by it.
Yes.
Brilliant. Okay.
Yeah,
I've got
I could see that waterfall as the central part of the garden.
Yes. And I'm going to elaborate. This is sparking all sorts of wonderful ideas in the context of what you said, Lisa, that we want this to be ever evolving. So I've got lots of ideas, but I don't want to preempt. And so I want to hear from Elizabeth, please, and from Norma. A water fountain would be easier. All right. Yes, we're going to combine the two here now, right? We're gonna work on this, because we're gonna create this. But keep in mind, this is Nobilia, so we've got resources on Nobilia. We've got machines that will go and suck up the earth and translate it into building materials, and we can rebuild. We can make a big mountain there if we want to, as depending on how big the earth is. We can create buildings from the earth itself, right? So we have these machines. All you have to do is to have the plan and the conception. You feed it into computers, so this is what I want, and it will go and build it for you. So we've got resources. So Nobilia, we're not constrained by economics, for instance. We can build whatever we want, and we have robots at our command to say, well, we want tall trees. Okay, we're gonna go and find them out in the wild, and we're gonna dig them up, and we're gonna bring them here, right? We can do this, right? So our imaginations here are not as limited as they normally would be. I didn't say that at the start, but okay. So anyway, so yes, Norma, that would be easier, but we're going to amend this and see how we can make it all work. More ideas, Norma? More? That's only one. I want multiple ideas. And Elizabeth, we've got to hear from you still. So
Well, I
Bina's
like
wait.
the
Oh,
idea of the water fountains, and reason being is because you can have the waterfall as a central, and then you could also have the water fountains in other
exactly,
areas of the
exactly,
park, or
exactly,
the things
exactly.
to feed more life.
Exactly. Look what we are doing. See how we are collaborating and everybody's idea getting incorporated. Yeah. So we're going to have a waterfall and water fountains for Norma. Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're going to have them ever evolving. I'll explain how that can happen in a moment. This is really, I love this idea of the ever evolving. Bina been very patiently and very disciplinedly holding on to her ideas to share them. So I did
No,
notice, Bina. Did notice.
okay. I
Yeah.
was just enjoying what the ideas, how the ideas were coming, and this is so
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Personally, I maybe it is just lack of my experience. I never seen any garden near the like or really on beach. So for me, having something like where we can have a beach in the garden, also a garden on the beach, is
Oh,
something I would love to.
lovely, lovely. Okay. So
Love it.
just in the interest of time, go ahead, whoever wants to jump in. I heard
Oh no,
somebody
I
want.
just said love
Oh,
it.
brilliant, brilliant. All right. So I love this. Now, in the interest of time, if we were really doing this, we'd spend a lot more time going through all the iterations, and we probably spend the whole day fantasizing about ideas and then letting them crystallize. But I'm just going to jump ahead a little bit to say, okay, let's combine all of these. So we make a big waterfall. In order to have a waterfall, you kind of need a bit of a mountain or a cliff or something. Okay, so we start with that. And then you said about the rivers, right? And we've got grass, which I liked, or space for the clovers, the four-leaf clovers, and all this, right? But also we're going to have these tributaries. So now to make this ever evolving, what we do is we take the waterfall and we run them into little streams that go out throughout the river, and we can even have like make a center column of earth, right, and just have water come up because we can make it there like a fountain, right, have a pump and have a circular waterfall, right? And from right in the center of this garden, and from the circular waterfall, we have all these little rivers going to the garden to the edge. Now you say, yeah, but where's those rivers? Where's the water going to go? Well, we've got technology. We're going to get clever. And where these rivers end, they're going to end in little pools. And at that pool, we are going to have a hyper, like focused concentration of through lenses and stuff like that, right, to make the water evaporate faster. So we're going to artificially create this evaporation so that it comes, and we're going to have little rains, and we have this ever evolvingness, right? And on that fountain, at least the waterfall, right now along the riverbeds here, we're going to have the fountains because these are beautiful, and we're going to have fun with that. But along these little rivers, we're also going to make beaches to satisfy Bina. However, we need to satisfy Lisa's ever evolvingness. So what we are
Well, and
going to
on that point, what I see for the ever evolving is let everything in the garden, everything that's alive, like all the plants and the water and everything, is aware. And so as people walk through the garden based on their intent, what they walk through evolves and changes as they walk by.
Okay. So now we can say that we can program this the waterfall and where it starts the little rivers. Now some of them not because we don't want to mess up Venus beaches, but some of them that as they falls in the pool of water around the fountain, around the waterfall, and where it chooses to make a river, we can have that be where it's like a sluices, as it were, right? And the little gates can open and cause a river based on where people stop the most or stop the least. Yeah. So it's interactive, it evolves. And then the rivers, they get to form their own way. And wherever they end up, right? Because we're going to put a border around the edge of the thing, so it's a pool. And there's a pool there. Now, okay, we're going to accentuate the rain maybe to get this we've got a little microclimate going there, right? But what we can also do is take that water and because the rain might not be fast enough to power the waterfall, we can pump that water back up. Now, what we want to do is not filter that water, but pump it up, seeds and all, into the waterfall, so that whatever seeds fell from whatever is planted into the river, it's not necessarily going to just grow along the banks of that river, but it potentially can grow along the banks of any of the rivers on this park, because this is a big park now. This has to be a big park. This park is going to be many miles wide, right? It's going to be a big, big project. So, and we can do that on Nobilia. So this is very cool. Did Ramsey come? Yes. Hello, Ramsey. Brilliant, brilliant. Hello, hello, Ramsey and Elizabeth. I still haven't heard your ideas for the park, but anyway. So my bigger point here is, did we need leadership in this? No. Okay, yes, I'm in this position a little bit because I'm the host of the show. So I naturally say, okay, your idea, you next, right? That's just me being a host, not necessarily being a leader. I'm just facilitating communication, right? And when we understand this, any one of you can do this. It's nothing particular to me to do this, right? So, and then, okay, I started to put it together a little bit. To give an example, I'm just speeding up the process. Any of you could have done what I did. And this is Norma's point, right? When we get to this point where we have this independence of being, when we can communicate and we can collaborate, your leadership becomes somewhat redundant. Yes, sometimes you may put somebody in an organizational position, like as a host, that's just simply convenience and just streamlining. It's not even leadership, really. It's just admin, really, right? Being a
Even
host of
when
a
we
thing like
can
this, just admin.
understand. So,
Go ahead, Jessica. Go ahead. Go ahead.
oh, I say even when we can understand, because that also goes hand in hand, because like
Exactly.
understanding each other and why we chose what we chose, and
Yeah.
why and understanding like that's what you chose, and that's because that means
Exactly.
something to you, and
Exactly.
that's okay.
Yeah. Norma, yes, we jumped ahead a little bit here. We are still, in the starship phases. We haven't gotten to the planet yet. We're going to do that on Sunday. We aren't actually going to disembark. We're just going to skip ahead into the future, where they've centuries ago the starships crashed on the different planets, and the communities grew and developed, and later on we're going to see how they became an agglomeration and everything. But we're gonna jump to it. So yeah, we did jump a little bit. So I love this. So hello again, Ramsey. I'm glad you're here, mate. I'm glad you're here. So what we are talking there, and I want to just go to Elizabeth's point. I would like for the garden to be protected and for the people to understand the tree's language. Now, Elizabeth, I'm not going to comment on this. Why? Because I wanted to put a pin in that sentiment there. Put a great, big, huge pin in it. And I think it's chapter 11, chapter 12, 13, 14, somewhere around there. I know chapter 15, but there's a bit of a preamble. But we are going to absolutely have this. It is a part of the story already, right? And in this park, we could maybe do that on a minor level, or maybe incorporate that, but you'll see. To have your idea and intent materialized, this is already part of a story. So yes, but I don't want to bring that in now, because I don't want to spoil the story, right? But that's already there, yes, and we can of course duplicate it. Yes, now it's going to be a bigger project to duplicate this. It won't be so quick as the other things, but it absolutely not only can be done, at least in the story context, but will be done, and you're going to see how this is done. It's a profound thing. That is one of my favorite parts of the story. I don't really have favorites; they're all favorites. But anyway, let me just say it this way: it's a very beautiful part of the story, because it's also about friendship, and part of the exhibition of friendship. This emphasizing on friendship. It's got to do with the trees. So this is too cool. This is too cool. I love that this now you're going to just have to remember this point, right? About the tree language, right? This is a big, big point. Wonderful. All right. So my bigger point, right, to go back, because we went into the whole digression here and we got involved in making this garden. I was making a point on Norma's comment, this fantastic comment from Norma about that. Do we really need leadership? No, we don't. If we're all sensible, we don't really need leadership. And if we do need a role like admin, well, you need to take care of somebody. Okay, well, you whoever, and you randomly just assign tasks, because we can all do it. Yes, we can all do it. At least if we practice enough, we can all do it. Yes. So like the reading. That's why I so encourage you guys to read, because we can all read, but it takes practice. This is a skill that is dependent on practice. Bina, do you remember when I first started reading the stories?
Yes.
There's a big difference between then and now, yes?
Absolutely. Look at,
I
look
mean,
at me.
not right. Exactly. Exactly. I mean, when Bina first started reading, she struggled.
Oh,
It wasn't easy for Rena because this is not her first language, right? But Bina practiced and practiced. And every time we read stories together, Bina reads them. So it's practice. And then, for me, I'm continually practicing my ability to emote, my ability to emphasize appropriately, my ability to share nuance, to share my internal thinking, which sometimes is
yes.
like, if you, I got a clue what Soul was thinking there, even though I didn't say it. And that's all. It's not something that just sort of happens. I've been practicing this to be able to do this deliberately. So many skills to practice, but we do need to practice. So again, this reading practice is very, very important. And that's the magic of this particular community and interaction. That, we don't care if you read and you misread a word here, and it doesn't matter. We don't care if you even come on like Vina and you were a terrible reader. All right, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but
Yes, you are.
nonetheless, right, right. Well, I'm using you as example. Yeah, I don't care how terribly you may read or think you read. Right, we are all going to be encouraging anybody who wants to practice their reading skills, because it's not just about the language reading in a normal sense. This is about expression, understanding, comprehension, discernment, or expression, communication. All sorts of skills we're applying here, right? And we're, of course, going to encourage each other to do this, right? And create an atmosphere for this. Uh, so this is a very interesting point, Norma, on these seeders, right? If we're going to be seeders on the ship, no, you are not automatically going to have your family. The only ones who had their family out in space were the original engineers who built the great gravity engines, right? And built the starships. They are there because they know the secret, more or less. Only a few of them know the secret, but those that knew the secret of the great gravity engine, they took their families and their loved ones and friends and whoever wanted to out in space, so they couldn't be manipulated. And that's where that family thing. But as a seeder, the ones who are actually going to go on the starships that those are building, and they may do go anywhere. We don't know what happens to them. We haven't decided in the story, but they would just probably go with the originators and be part of the core, uh, the leadership of the project, right? Because there has to be a leadership in this project. So, but no, as a seeder, you go. Your family doesn't go with you, no, because what if your family doesn't qualify? See, so this is a very big point, right? This point of the family not going with, yeah. So it has to be, because we're starting fresh, right? Now, maybe if you've got young children, yes, but only up to a certain point. If those children have already got their own mindsets and attitudes and stuff, well, sorry. If you're not on a course to going where we want to go, no, we can't risk this, right? So we have to be very cautious with this, right? So you're on your own when you join as a seeder, yes. I would like a circle pond with a fountain in the center with seats of courts for us to meditate and collaborate on, with our feet in water and faces in the sunshine. That is absolutely automatically already in there. Yes, we had that circle, we had everything. I love this. I love the detail. I love the detail. So now you're going to have to paint it, Elizabeth. I'm only trying Nova's cheeky comment there. What does Nova say? Will you read it, please, Mina? Yeah. Yeah. See, Norma says, so we are all female then. No, Bina. I'm Norma Grin. But yes, see, I'm Norma. I love this when you put Grin behind it. I've adopted that from Norma. It's a very cool habit to to identify when we're teasing. It's a very clever tease there, Norma. No, not all female. I mean, yes, I am very biased towards females. I have to admit, I shouldn't be, but I am. And in terms of being more evolved, I think women are much more evolved than men. I really do think so. I'm sorry, men. I'm sorry, but we're just a bunch of knuckleheads for the most part, right? We cause lots of trouble. Now, does it mean all women are evolved? No, but But on the whole, I feel this is my personal prejudice and bias, and I do acknowledge it is a prejudice and a bias, right? So I work hard at seeing the moreness in men, right? Pampering
Uh,
oneself. Yes, absolutely, Ramsey. Yeah, absolutely.
okay,
Let's
before
continue reading.
no, no, before we move on, I just want to practice make the obvious really obvious, because
Ah,
this is the practice we were doing, the exercise we were doing there about the gardens and imagining things.
yeah,
This is
yeah,
something really transformative, to have this ability to imagine things and
yeah,
think outside the box.
yeah,
This was my experience with Sil, and I want to share that,
yeah,
okay, about that story, not the story itself. That there was this question, random question on Facebook. Someone asked a question, and I was very conventionally, I just respond to that. And
yeah,
then I shared with Sil, because we were on Zoom together, and he
yeah,
says, "Why not this?" And then he says, "Oh," and that was like, why I was not able to think about this, and that opens up a
oh,
whole new world for me right there. And I started just thinking about
yeah,
more and more, all sort of wild ideas,
yeah,
because even though that question, whatever it was giving us freedom, but we were so conditioned into the old
yeah,
paradigm and the
yeah,
shoulds, that I was not even like voluntarily, I was just giving up all my freedom and just
yeah,
thinking like the conventional things.
yeah,
But
yeah,
when Sil
yeah.
asked me that, okay, why not this? And then they were like, okay, and go like really onto all sort of funny and wild thinking and all that.
Yeah,
Okay, like
yeah,
the
yeah,
Sicilian
yeah,
mafia to all sort of thing. I have this post still, and this is so
yes,
dear to me, because that post is reminder of the transformation happened, and I
yeah,
practiced that moreness right
yes,
there. So
yes,
what we were doing
yes,
here, it was not just about the
yeah,
gardens. Like, yes,
yeah,
everybody has their
yeah,
favorite. Nobody,
yeah,
I don't know that anyone
yeah,
who don't
yeah,
like that.
yeah, yeah,
But we just
yeah.
start
Now,
practicing that.
now, if this really were on Nobilia, it probably would more likely have gone with, okay, we sort of shared one idea, but we would have said, well, I like the idea of this, and 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 I like the idea of this. Now, maybe the first one is the one I like the most, or I could say at the end, now that I think about it, when I first said idea one, that was my thing that I really wanted. But now that I said idea 2, 3, 4, and 5, well, actually, you know what? Number 4 is actually the one that if I had to choose one first, but maybe we can put them all in there, right? So this multiple perspective sharing, right? We have to get out of this habit of just sharing one idea, one answer, because when you actually apply that, you're going to be surprised at yourself how that first idea is not necessarily the best idea or the one that you like the most, etc. It's a profound thing. So then we'd share all these multiple ideas and then let it stimulate and then say, wow, I never even thought of that. Never mind all my ideas. Wow, I like that. And you see, and then we jump and then things start to build on themselves and then they feed off there. And of course, we can incorporate all of those. There's no reason we can't, right? So,
Yes.
or somebody may have an idea that's a very predominant idea, like the waterfall idea, and it now
Yes.
shapes, now the whole park is shaped around the waterfall, right? So, and again, too, look what also happens in this, and I've seen this many times. It's like, well, you know what? Our garden, I don't have any wild particular preference. So you sort of whatever's okay with me, I'll say what I like, but I'm not stuck on them. I'm not hung up on them. But for Jessica, the waterfall was like really, really important, right? So all of us are saying, well, we don't really care. We're at ease. But you know what? Jessica's got like a real being of honest about this. Okay, it's really important. All right, well, why not do it? See, so in this type of collaboration, passion is often the determinant, or not often, but almost always. In a case like this, when there's no real rhyme or reason to do any one of them, so therefore the one with the strongest passion will have it, right? Now, maybe there's both of you that have two different passions, and well, if it really was in a situation where the passions were like either or, then we'd flip a coin. If there was no other way to resolve it, we would just have it decided randomly. And then you say, okay, well, it wasn't my luck this time, next time. See, because we'd have that okayness, right? Even though I was really passionate about it, well, okay, we understand that it has to be decided one way or the other. If we can't incorporate both, in other words, right? They're mutually contradictory. Like, let's say one wanted a waterfall and the other said, well, we want to make a desert garden. Can hardly combine the
Lovely.
desert,
I
right?
was thinking about this. Exactly, I was
Yeah.
thinking about this. Okay, I was out
Right,
of
right,
desert.
right.
Yes.
Well, now you know why the entire planet, pretty much, of Nobilia is
Oh,
gardens everywhere, right? I mean, they're
but
just all over the show. Go ahead, go ahead.
on the contrary,
Mm.
there are what there is areas of water
Yeah,
in
yeah,
deserts.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
therefore,
Yeah, I know, I know.
you can
I was
still
just,
incorporate more.
uh,
See,
yeah,
that's where I'm finding the
yes.
loopholes and everything.
Yeah,
This is how I compromise with
exactly.
people.
When I said that, I was looking for some idea that possibly is mutually exclusive. But again, of course, you could say, yeah, but you know what? There are oases in deserts, and you could have a waterfall, and you could just have beach all around it, right? So you can. That's why I'm saying it's rare. That was my point. Really, it's very rare where you won't be able to merge and accommodate where there's a real strong passion either way, right? But
Yeah.
typically in a group environment like that, one passion tends to predominate because somebody just grabbed them and they're like really keen on. Okay, we run with that. It doesn't, because it's all random. It doesn't really matter which idea, right? As long as we
Mhm.
have an idea. So if you're passionate, well, then you're more motivated and you're going to put my answer. So, hey, great. And your passion fuels us. So we leverage that energy from the passion, right? It's just a nice system. Again, these are all systems that as we go through, we have to develop the rest of the characteristics that enable this to happen. So we're sort of leapfrogging a bit here, but it's just to give
Mhm.
this idea. So yes, Ramsey, a woman or half men, and it's whichever gene predominates. Ideas
I
get crafted, signed, and shaped like making a sculpture through actions and necessity. Yes, absolutely. And
mhm.
this is the magic of collaboration. So, by the way, Elizabeth and everybody, on this point that I was saying with making the garden, this collaboration, there is in this, I remember the chapter specifically in chapter 10, the origin story chapter. There's a small little, it's kind of very subtly put in there. It's not a major feature, but it's there. There is an exemplification of this collaborativeness where it works in real time and very dynamically. It's more focused and more specific, but the key is clarity of intent. Yes, know what it is that you want to do. And that's why we said the Garden of Moreness. Now, right, we may have spent the whole day figuring out the name, but when you know what you want and you have clarity of intent, then things tend to be rather obvious in terms of the come. We don't have that much choices. You reduce the limits of choices once you know what you want to do. It's a very profound way of doing this. So yes, ideas get shined and shaped like making a sculpture through actions and necessity. Exactly. So if we're making a sculpture and we just remove the parts that aren't there, the sculpture emerges of its own accord. See, the sculpture, the inside, like Michelangelo said, that he just removed the unnecessary bits, right? When you have clarity of intent, you know what's inside that block of marble. And all we got to do is remove the unnecessary bits. It's very easy. It's very easy to collaborate, right? If we all saw that same picture of David inside that block of marble, we could all be Michelangelo. We might not have had the physical skill to remove it as well as he did, but nonetheless, see? And if I can't, then I say, well, you know what? I can remove the bigger parts on the outside, but when it comes to the finer two, you know what? You guys who have got more physical dexterity and skilled at this and practice, you do these parts, right? I'll do the rough parts that don't really matter. That's just labor, right? See,
But this
collaboration,
is,
collaboration.
but
It's
this
a
is not
profound thing.
only about the clarity of intent, but also the power of intent, because what he
Exactly,
could see
exactly,
in that, he was so clear about that. So it was first, it was a
exactly,
clarity of intent and the power of
exactly.
intent that's doing it.
Exactly,
So yes.
exactly, exactly. Collaboration is a profound thing. And again, we're on this big diversion. For me, I always like to go, where was the origin level, right? So we went and we had we split it up and then we split it up again. So we have to backtrack. We have to go level backwards, right? And
Yeah.
this diversion started with this comment of Norma's, this profound comment of Norma's, that we don't really need leadership, right? That we are all the same mind. Yeah? I'm paraphrasing your comment somewhat, Norma, but that's just how my mind works. But yes, we don't need it. We can assign it when necessary, but when we have this understanding of intent and we have a shared intent and we make the effort to clarify that intent so that we do have a common shared intent, then leadership becomes unnecessary. The intent becomes the leader, the goal, the objective. Yeah. It's very simple, really. Then you just do whatever's needed. Very simple. And you just take on yourself. So, okay, hey, I'm good at this. I'll do that. You good at that? Then you don't have to say somebody else. They just say, okay, yeah, I'll do this. I'll do that. And then, well, I got no skills here. Oh, I guess I'm doing the donkey work. Yeah, okay. I don't mind. I'm happy. At least I'm contributing. See? Very wonderful. We
What
need to read
about,
this.
yeah, but what about
No, we
our
didn't
own
read the other
mind?
slide.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
Okay.
Go
go
ahead.
back the other one.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. This one.
So
This is where we're at.
yeah, I just want to ask you something because
Oh, please, please.
when we talk about leadership, and of course because of the dominance, because of the superiority paradigm, we
Oh,
almost everyone is sensitive about the leadership thing. Okay, just take out this word, but just take the real core of this. What is the problem?
yeah,
Dominance and the superiority paradigm. But
exactly.
I think that okay, we are also very awkward with this because we know that we are going to have been conditioned to act accordingly. So that's why we also cue that if we don't take it, if we don't
Yeah,
act accordingly, then whoever is
yeah,
trying to be a leader is not going to be a problem. Okay, you are taking responsibility, just take
yeah,
this because I'm doing whatever I'm doing I supposed to
yeah,
do. So
yeah,
if we don't follow that, if we don't go into this thing and follow that, okay, it's a leadership thing, how long they are going to just act like that? No. So it's our own following, it's all our own
yeah, yeah,
awkwardness toward
yeah,
this thing
yeah.
makes it
Right.
more problematic.
Exactly. Now, look at this from the new nobility point of view. We said intent becomes the leader. Do they not, as a community, as a culture, have an intent to collaboration? Not
Yeah.
only do they have an intent to goodness, but they have an intent to collaborate, right? And
Yes.
this is profound. Automatically, when you go in and you have an intent to collaborate, you set yourself in a different mindset. Whereas the superiority paradigm, they come. I've got my intent is to dominate. My intent is to be the leader. My intent, already there, the thing is already lost before it started. Yes. Because how
Yes.
do you know your idea is the best if you're not even going to listen to anybody else's? Yeah. It's like it's just
Exactly.
assumption. It's like, oh man, this is just the inefficiency of it. And when we go back to impeccability, best use of energy. How is that the best use of energy? It's not at all, right? It's just your
Yes.
belief that you have the best. No. When we have an intent to collaborate, we're sharing the ideas, we're sharing methodologies, we're sharing this and that. We're sharing our expertise to say, wow, okay, I've had experience with doing this. This works. Somebody says, well, okay, I hear you that you got experience, but you know what? Uh, this doesn't, I can't see. And then you say, wow, yeah, you know what? I've been doing that forever for this way. And now that you mention it, yeah, you're right. That's not maybe the best method. Let's find a new one. Let's invent a new one, and so on and so forth, right? That happens. I'm just saying all of the things that come from this power of collaboration. There is so much power in collaboration. Yes, Ramsey, exactly. A man cannot lift a tree trunk, but 10 humans can. This goes in business and anything else too. Yes, but that collaboration goes a lot further than that type of doing things together. A collaboration, like I was saying before, collaboration is when I take your idea and adjust my idea in order to add and fit in and work together with your idea. So collaboration is taking our individual components and adjusting them so that we get a more, right, out of that,
Collaboration
putting it
and
together.
incorporation.
Exactly. Very powerful. Very, very powerful. Very powerful. So very, very cool.
And
Very cool.
this next slide, I was going to comment on it really quick. I read
Oh,
through it.
no. You can't comment just yet. You have to read it first. Sorry.
It
No
reminds
commenting
me
before
of
reading it.
something.
So,
So no, I just wanted to comment that it reminds me of something and a
oh, I
specific
see.
term.
Oh, okay.
So,
All
but I
right.
will read it.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pacing.
More than synchronization, Ramsey. More. Because, sorry, I want to just emphasize this point of collaboration. Because to synchronize, it's like when now I'm just harmonizing, as it were. Synchronizing is really to harmonize your timing, is to synchronize, right? But with collaboration, my idea, my contribution, my action is affected and changed, and when we truly collaborating, added to by yours. So therefore I get your one plus my one, and we don't get two, we get more.
More. 1 plus
This
1
is
equals more.
exactly,
Yes.
this is the key understanding of collaboration rather than cooperation or synchronization, Ramsey, is that it is this interactivity that because we are being changed by what we interact with, right? So whatever idea I bring to the table gets added to, gets changed, gets transformed, and it becomes more through the incorporation of your ideas. But it's not addition, it is exponential. Right? It's 1 plus 1 does not equal 2, or 1 plus 1 not 3 or 4, whatever. No, it's always more because they feed off of each other and you get this explosion of moreness. Yeah. So this is a profound difference when we collaborate. And of course, because you could just say, well, you could get more rubbish and nonsense, but because the collaboration is geared towards an intent, towards moreness, towards addition, towards enhancement, right? That moreness gets shaped in a particular direction, right? So the intent to collaborate is an intent for greater efficiency, greater inspiration, greater artistry, greater effectiveness, etc. Right? So there is a positive intent underlying collaboration, and the idea is that I am going to take my whatever I bring to the table, add it to yours, mix it together with yours, and in this great mix, we both get more than we would have had individually. Right. And this is for the ever many in the pile. And this is the magic of it. Things feed off each other because when you bring an idea that I didn't think of, it stimulates my brain. And that's how the brain works. When it stimulates, it jumps, right? And this is what we do in here. This is why those come up takeaways. It's a very particular takeaway, but it's a very important takeaway to say, like, oh, it has nothing to do with what's being said, but something came up in me. It's this random stuff that comes up in us that our minds jump to. That's where the moreness of collaboration comes from. It is so powerful. It is so powerful. It is so powerful. So, Jessica, did you share what you were going to share about the slide?
No, because I haven't read it yet.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Okay.
Please, Peter.
Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
The
All right, there we
stakes,
go.
yep, pacing. The stakes were just too high. Sorry, the thing glitched for a minute. The stakes were just too high for the gods to risk the future of an entire galaxy and potentially the universe on a maybe. Maybe humanity would evolve into the potential they could be. Maybe the gods themselves would evolve sufficiently to be able to deal with what might come. Maybe. The unknowns were simply too many. But as great as the risks were, so too the potential opportunities, even more so. The possibilities of the noble ideal as a culture were profound. The gods had to give this dream a chance to develop, but safely.
Yes.
This reminds me of trust without trusting.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
This is exactly what they're doing. They're saying, you know what, we have to trust this because the possibilities of the noble ideal as a culture, not just as an idea, but as a culture were
Mhm.
profound. That's why the comma's there, right? The possibilities of the noble ideal as a culture were profound. And they have to
Yes.
give this, but they have to trust without trusting. So they say, but we can't just trust it implicitly. We have to be, but trust suspiciously a little bit here. And so we're going to put in safeguards. Yes, that's the very next thing that's coming here now. Yeah, these safeguards. Now we know already from having read the story. So
Yes. Okay.
go ahead.
Just
Go ahead.
1 minute, because thank you so much, Jessica, for reading this. This is wonderful. Okay.
Oh, very cool.
And
Yeah.
sharing 1 plus 1 is equal to more. This is, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
to go now. Sorry, it's getting late for me, so I need to
Yes,
go.
yes. We all have to go. So I want to read these tasks and exercises before you go, Bina. I want to
Okay.
just read them, and we're not going to answer them, but I want them to sit in your minds. And maybe when we come back another time, that
Mhm.
that you share or just comment later on this, right? Just drop your comments on these questions. How would you deal with power in the context of interspecies power and dominance and the problems involved with having it and also not having it? Again, we come to leadership. Now, let's assume you're in charge there with everything. How are you going to deal with having this actual power in regard to other species, right? In the context of interspecies power and dominance and the problem involved with having it and also not having it, right? So now we're asking a very profound question here. Very cool. You have to imagine, in other words, this circumstance. Would you be comfortable? Maybe the question is flawed, by the way. Just keep that in mind too. Would you be comfortable? Would you be comfortable with an alien species, one free from superiority paradigm, the pure superiority paradigm, being in charge of Earth or significantly influencing it? In other words, imagine if the spaceship came today and there's the species, they're not the superiority paradigm species, but they are clearly more advanced than us, right? Would you be comfortable of them being in charge with us or significantly influencing it? I know many people who are very, in a superiority paradigm, absolutely not. Humanity's got to dominate. Nobody can be in charge of us, right? And they have this in their own personal lives too. They struggle with authority for the same reasons, right? They're not capable of doing it. So it's a very profound question. I love this question too. It's a very cool one, right? It gives us exactly, Elizabeth, it gives us real insight into ourselves, right? How willing are we? How truly do we actually practice what it is that we think we subscribe to? Yes. If we truly are subscribing to sobriety and sensibility and moreness and evolution, how can we say no to this more evolved species being in charge or significantly influencing it? Right. What do you think of the God's risk management strategy as presented here? Bina, this was you, maybe. It's all about risk management, right? Why is the evolution quote attributed to that particular work by the new nobility? Now, all right, Bina, if you listen to the start of the replay, Bina and I went into that very particularly. So I'm very pleased to see, by the way, Bina, that I put this in the tasks and exercises to go back and to say that quote wasn't about the quote. Yes, the quote itself is powerful, but it was particularly the attribution which enhances it and takes it to a different level. So this is now the quote we're talking about is the quote that starts this section. Yeah. All right. This is absolutely brilliant.
So thank you so much. I need to go now. Thank you so much.
Everybody, I'm also going to go. I need to go to. I've got to go to a particular place. Right, Lisa. I've got to go somewhere. So.
Okay. So thank you, Ramzi. Thank you, Elizabeth, Jessica, Lisa,
Thank you.
Giselle,
Bye.
Norma.
Yes.
Love you
Yes.
guys. Bye for now. See you tomorrow.
Yes. Bye, everybody. Yes. Bye, everybody. Bina said it so beautifully. So I won't mess it up. I'm just end screen share so I can end everything. So bye, everybody. Bye. Too wonderful. End meeting.